if our true nature is no birth and no death, it means that we are condemned to live forever, life after life after life after life. So to me, the teaching of no birth and no death is not a solution, it's a problem. And I don't understand how is it possible not to feel despaired and lost with this teaching, because this is not only thinking, this is also feeling, and to me it doesn't help me and it creates more despair. I prefer to die at the end of this life rather to live again.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, our friend is saying that the teaching about our true nature of no birth and no death would appear to condemn us to live forever. And this teaching has for him not been a solution, but a source of suffering, not just intellectual suffering, but a real feeling of fear and despair. And for him it seems much more appealing if he could die and be born again. If he could die.
Because if we die, life is short and really intense, so we can enjoy as much as possible, but if we have continued to live, sooner or later we will be really bored, I think.
There are two types of people. One, that so many of us want to live forever. They are very afraid of dying. And that's why in the history of mankind, many people are seeking immortality. In Taoism, they try to find a kind of herbs, medicines that can make you into an immortal. So immortality is what they want to seek. And underneath that kind of wish, desire, is the fear of annihilation, the fear of non-being. The fear of non-being. You don't want to pass from the realm of being into the realm of non-being. It's very scary. And we have to understand the mentality of those who are seeking immortality, who are afraid of dying. They're suffering in that kind of view. They're seeking for immortality, afraid of non-being. And on the other hand, there are those who are tired of life. They get bored after 50, 70, or maybe 30 years. And they find that life is unbearable. So they are seeking non-being. And some of them think that to commit suicide is a way to end suffering and to pass from the realm of being into non-being. And that kind of wish is also based on a wrong view, that there is something you call non-being, non-existence. Annihilation, and you like to go there. It's better. You don't suffer anymore. It's no longer boring. So you aspire to non-being, to annihilation, and that kind of desire is based also on a wrong view. But the right view is that birth and death, life and death, they always go together. You cannot take one out of the other. So you are looking for death, and you try to leave a life behind. That is something impossible, because they always want to be together, like the left and the right. You cannot take the left out of the right and the right out of left. That is the law we discover by looking deeply. And then look, and we see that this is a manifestation only. And the notion of left and right is more in our head, in our thinking, than in reality. So all the notions like boring or not boring, suffering and happiness, being and non-being, come more from our mind of discrimination, our mind of mental construction, rather than reality. We behave as if we know what reality is, and we only have to deal with reality. But the reality we think we know is only a construction of our mind. Your birth and death are also a construction of your mind. And it is not reality. And we have learned in this retreat that birth, life and death, birth and death, they are notions more than reality. And being and non-being is a pair of opposite that is there as the foundation of the notion of birth and death. And then your question still reveals that you still believe in a self, in a soul, that remains the same always. But in reality, there is nothing like that. There is nothing that can remain the same in two consecutive moments. So who is boring? Who is bored? Because you of this moment is no longer you of the present, of the previous moment. And because we have not gone deep enough and touched the true nature of no birth and no death, no self and no other, no being and no non-being. So those who seek nirvana, they may think there are those who seek for nirvana. They think that when you touch nirvana, you are no longer, you don't have to be reborn anymore, and you belong to the realm of non-being. And that is the most misleading view about nirvana. Nirvana is eternal death. And for some people, eternal death is the salvation, because you don't have to be reborn and to suffer. And that is a wrong view. And many people, including some Western scholars on Buddhism, they believe that the aim of Buddhism is to get eternal death and complete eternal non-being. But the Buddha has many thousand times denied that. Our aim is not to reach nothingness, to reach annihilation. He has said so many times that I am not teaching annihilation. My view is a kind of insight transcending both notions, annihilation and permanence. That's a pair of opposite. Immortality is one extreme, the immortal soul that can never die. That is one extreme. And annihilation is another extreme. So right view is a kind of insight that transcends both notions, immortality and non-being, annihilation. So meditation is to remove this kind of notions. There are many pairs of notions that you have to remove. And when you are able to remove these notions, you have peace. You don't worry anymore. And especially you don't believe in a self that has to go through samsaras, birth and death. There is no birth and death. There is no self that is going through birth and death. And all of that are only notions. And when you get that kind of insight, you are light. You are no longer afraid. And you see that everything renews itself all the time. Joy and happiness are possible. The transformation of suffering is possible. And you can help so many people to suffer less. And life has a meaning. You don't tire yourself out. You don't get bored because you know that your life has a meaning. Your life is useful. And you can generate the energy of compassion and joy in order to help heal the world. And that does not need a permanent self, a soul, or the view of impermanence, the view of immortality, or the view of annihilation, because you are free from all this. So nirvana is first of all the extinction of that kind of suffering afflictions, like fear, anger, despair. And the extinction of these afflictions is possible only when you can extinguish notions like birth and death, being and non-being. So we can define nirvana in very clear terms: the absence of notions and the absence of suffering born on the base of these notions. Very good, good smile. Very good smile.